What's going on, guys? Dan Watson, and we are talking about the Sony A7R IV because when this camera first came out, we talked a lot about that sensor and a couple other big features about it, but there is a lot new with this camera and a lot of things that have been kind of glossed over and skipped over in some of the reviews. So I want to show you some of those big features, and then also there are some big questions that you guys had about image size and overheating and stuff like that, so I want to answer those for you. Now, first, there are two things that you should know about this camera, and one is that if you want to pick it up, it's actually on sale right now. You can get a huge, like over $200 card, 128 gig UHS-2 SanDisk card. Really love this card, and you can get it included with batteries and cases, which is unbelievable for a new camera. So go check out that deal. And then also I am releasing a full 29-page PDF menu guide going over every item in this menu. So if you've gotten this camera, getting this camera, and want to master it, we will talk about every item that you find in there, what to set it to, how my recommendations for it, how it works. So this will really help you get started in knowing this camera. And then there's something kind of free that we're going to include, and I'll talk about it in a minute because it relates to one of the features. But let's kind of go over some of these new points in the A7R IV. So first on the list is tracking. And when this camera came out, we heard about this real-time tracking and all that kind of stuff, but what did that actually mean? And we knew it had real-time IAF, but honestly, that feature came to the previous versions via firmware update. So here are some of the new things that we can do. Now, first of all, this will only work if your drive mode is in a continuous shooting, either low, medium, or high. So go ahead and set your camera to that. And then also your focus mode is going to need to be in continuous, which on this camera, you should probably always leave your focus mode in continuous because the tracking is so amazing. So then what we will do is take our focus area, and down at the very bottom, you'll see that that center lock-on AF is gone. And we have this tracking expand flexible spot. Now what that means is we're gonna have this box that's going to appear, and what we can actually do is now when we click on whatever subject we want to track, so as soon as you half press that, it will begin tracking that subject. Now that is the first step to making this work. So now what you can do is move your focus point to any subject, whether you want with a joystick, with the arrow keys. So whatever you want to do to move that focus point around, click on the object and then track it. But what if we could also just tap on our touch screen and have it track that object? Well, that is a separate menu setting, and here's how to get to it. So what we need to do is navigate to our custom menu 2 and over to page 10. And that is where you're going to see something called function of touch operation. And I believe by default, it's set to touch focus. And what that means is if you tap, the point will move. But what we kind of want to do most of the time now with the A7R IV and these great tracking cameras is have what Canon gave us for so long, where we tap on an object and it will just track that subject. We don't want to just move our point, we want to track it. And so what we can do is switch that to touch tracking. And then now, as soon as you touch an area of your screen, it will begin to lock on that subject and track it across the frame. So this is a huge benefit to the R4 that we don't have with any other cameras except the A9. So another really big feature that we have now is also kind of buried in this menu, and it is going to be at the very end of the setup menu. And this was absolutely huge because especially if you're a video shooter, if you have shot videos, they're all labeled C001 on all Sony cameras. And if you shot multiple Sony cameras, they all had the exact same file name. It was absolutely horrible. Well, now we can change that. So right in the setup 6, we can go to your video file settings, and we can set this to a series or reset the counter every time you put in a new card. I will go to series, and we can file name format, so we can enter in a custom file name. So I did that. I have a title in here, a custom title, which you can set on page 2. You can set that. I just name mine R so that I know the difference between my R and my A7R or my A7 III, so I can name a different letter, prefix, or whatever name that you want to that file. So now when you look at these video files, this camera will be different from all my other Sony cameras, and I don't have 16 cameras with the same exact video files, which is just an accident waiting to happen. So this was a major feature. I don't know why we didn't have it before, but I am extremely grateful to have it now. And then also on the file folder name settings, this structure is different. for the R4 from the R3. So you have a little bit different options for naming your files, even for the stills. Another big new custom option here that was not available before is in our custom operation 1. So this is in the second tab in menu item 9. Again, all of this is in this PDF menu guide. If you download that, it'll be a piece of cake to be whizzing through all of these custom functions. But here at the very bottom, you're going to see My Dial Settings. Now what My Dial does is allow all of the scroll wheels. So you have a front scroll wheel, a back, and then this back control wheel where your ISO and display and all that kind of stuff is. All three of these can be mapped to different functions if you hit another button at the same time. So we'll have to go ahead and set that up first. So what you'll need to do is pop into your custom key, and then you can map a button to control that. So on mine, I actually have that set to my C4. So my C4 right here is a My Dial 1 during hold. And you can see you have a couple different ones, so you can have a different custom button trigger any of these functions, or you can have the My Dial 1, 2, 3, which will cycle through all of them as you do that. So as soon as we hit that, you will see that we have this set up for our My Dial settings. So I have mine set up, so when I hit this C3 button, it will allow me to custom white balance by my scroll wheel, custom Kelvin balance by my back wheel, and then tune my audio anytime I want to go higher or lower on my volume. So while I'm recording, I can quickly just hit that button and move my dial, and I have that ability. You can set this up with anything that you want. There's a bunch of different options in here for controlling things the way that you want. That's what I did. It's an extremely useful tool. You have 3 different menu items or custom buttons that you can map to it. So this is something you should absolutely check out. So one of my biggest issues with the previous versions of the R cameras was that it was almost impossible to see where your focus points were, especially when tracking. And all that has changed now, because if you look in your tab 1 AF3, which is the 7th item, again, all this is in that menu guide, you will see something new, and that is your focus frame color. Now, it used to be gray, which was just impossible to see in almost everything. So now we have 2 choices, white and red. I still personally think red is a little bit more contrasty, and I'm able to see it in much more variety of different environments. So I set mine to red, but it is really nice now because we have this great area that we can move our focus point around and then very easily see it. You can also set it to white if you would like to, but this is a huge option that we didn't have before. So last on the list, and this is something that solves a major pain point on the previous A7 cameras, is setting up these menus is just a pain on these cameras. There's so many things. It is so easy to miss. Settings are all over the place. You might have to go to one place to get one aspect of it and then another to set the other in order to make something work properly. Kind of like we had to do with those tracking. We had to do it in 2 different areas. And so here is something that will simplify everything for you. So let's say I set up this camera like it's brand new. I'm going to reset all my camera's device reset. This would have been a scary moment, or anytime I pick up a brand new Sony A7R IV. But now I can hit the Save Load Settings, load, and all of my files I had stored, all of my settings, every one of my custom function buttons, everything like that was saved to this card. I am going to load that right in, and then automatically all that gets triggered into this camera, and everything I need to do is already preloaded on this. So I can click on my function button, and the way that I have all of my stuff is set up exactly the way I want. So this is a huge feature, and I am actually including with that download all of my settings. So everything that I set up the camera for is going to be there. You can download that file, load it right in there, and then automatically you will have the camera set up the way that I use it. So if you're someone who's brand new to the camera, at least you're not starting from scratch. You can take what I have done and then modify it the way that you like. Now, a bunch of you have asked some questions, and if this is a new camera to you and you haven't used it yet, this is something that you might want to know. And one is the file size. So yes, an uncompressed RAW is 123 megabytes per file, and that is unbelievable. Also, a compressed RAW is going to be 62 megabytes. So you will save about twice as much if you go from uncompressed to compressed RAW. If you're shooting landscapes or like night skies and stuff like that, you might want to shoot uncompressed for the highest quality. But if you do compress that file, it gets a little bit more normal. We do not have any kind of medium or small RAW option right now. So the only way to get rid of those 123 megabyte files is to shoot compressed. Even a JPEG right now is a 45 megabyte file. So I will say that whatever they're doing to compress that RAW file is great because they're getting it almost to the file size of a JPEG while still preserving so much more information. And just for reference, like an uncompressed RAW file from the A7R3 was 83 megs and a compressed was 43. So we're taking a huge leap in the uncompressed, a little bit smaller leap in the compressed RAW file. And then yes, a JPEG file is actually more megs than the compressed RAW file from your Sony A7 III. So that is a huge difference in your file size. Now, another question you guys asked was about overheating, and I will say the camera did overheat on me while I was shooting video. I was not in an extremely hot environment. It was like upper 80s maybe, but I was in direct sunlight. I wasn't shooting a lot either. I had kind of a mix of 4K and 1080p. I was stopping the camera all the time, but because the camera was exposed to the sun, it was getting warm. And even with the overheat warning on high, I still managed to lock myself out of that camera, had to cool it off before I could use it again. So do keep in mind, this camera will overheat. Also, one of the things that was talked about a little bit was being able to shoot in a APS-C mode with this camera, and it is something that you might want to think about doing. An APS-C mode is a 26 megapixel RAW file that you can shoot with, and on a camera like this, it could be great at sometimes to get a little bit more cropped in, and then also you're going to increase the amount of images that you can get with the buffer. So the buffer is not too bad. I'm getting about 30 something images, probably uncompressed RAW. However, if that's not enough for you and you're filling the buffer, since we don't have a small RAW option, you can either shoot compressed or your option is to shoot APS-C and get a little bit more distance out of that. Obviously, your low light is not going to be as good and the actual quality is not going to be as good. However, you're going to get a little bit more reach and you won't have to worry about that buffer as much. So hopefully that menu guide is going to walk you through all of the other steps of this camera, not just the ones we went over today. So feel free to give it a download. Hopefully you guys have learned a little bit from this. Feel free to give a like and a subscribe if you want some more videos like this, and stay tuned because we have the full review coming up real soon.